Okay, the Hurling League is starting this weekend, and no better man to get on to chat about it than the man himself, Buff Egan. Buff, are you looking forward to the league starting out?
Yeah, it's good to get it started. I think there's going to be some huge games this year. Obviously, there's two sections, but I think there's as many games this year. So I prefer if there was more games. I think there should be about 8 games in the league. I think there should be one big Division 1 and maybe a Division 2 with likes of, Kerrys and Antrums and Laois and, one or two more big teams. But look, it is what it is, and I say you have to win every game because there's not enough games, I feel.
Yeah, they've kind of watered it down a small bit this year. But if we just jump into the fixtures that are on this weekend, Tipperary against Limerick. We talk about the clash of the 2018 and 19 champions. Do you think it's important that Limerick set out their stall here for Tipperary to finally retain the All-Ireland, that they get a win here? Is it that important?
Yeah, Limerick, they were very impressive there in the Munster League final. They just demolished Cork, and Cork, had a decent team out, Conor McGregor, these guys. But I think that's a 50-50 match. Tip were awesome last year. Callan, these guys. I'd probably give a slight nudge to maybe Tip, maybe by a point or two.
But do you think that, the way in the past we've heard all these rumour mills about Tipperary and maybe it affected how Tipperary performed in the past? There's been a bit of talk about Limerick in the off-season. A couple of things have happened. We won't go into the details about them because, we want to respect the players and what have you. But do you think that any of that could feed into Limerick this year, and people are kind of almost waiting for someone to step out of line so that people can hammer them and say that there's a lack of discipline there? Or do you think that they can just roll on again this year and get over what happened in the off-season?
I think they could roll over it because they have a very good manager. He doesn't be drawn out. He seems to have him in line, and I don't think it'll affect him. Judging by the performance there against Cork, it was an incredible second half. But I know it was Munster League, but last year, they were very unlucky. I remember against Kilkenny, and they feel that if they'd met Tip last year, they'd have beaten them. That's the way they're talking, because they destroyed them in the Munster final. So I think they'll be back to their rest.
And do you think if because Limerick could have got that late 65, might have levelled it, might have won it in extra time, do you think that Limerick would have went on to beat Tip last year, or do you think Tip were coming to the boil at the right time?
Well, yeah, I think Limerick could have won. That being said, it could just easily have been a Wexford Limerick final. Wexford will feel they should have beaten Tipperary, and I feel that was a great chance of All-Ireland for Wexford. They're saying Davey staying on for 2 more years. I think that was his chance for All-Ireland. I think that was Wexford's chance. 6 points up and man up. But that's when I think Tipperary came of age last year. But it's always thrown at Tip. They're a 1-in-a-row team. They can't back it up. And if they don't back it up this year, they'll probably never win 2 in a row, because this is the most gifted team I've ever seen Tip have any.
Right, because I love kind of spinning this line as a Tipperary man that people always say Tip can't do 2 in a row. But this is if you look at Sheedy's last couple of seasons, was 2010 and 2019. He's actually going for a 3 in a row of his own in this season. So I like to kind of twist it the other way.
Yeah, Sheedy, if you look, it's nearly the same team they had 2 years ago when they couldn't even get out of Munster. So, there's something about him. He's able to bring that team together. He's all the big names performing, and you're probably the 2 best managers in the country. I think the Limerick manager and the Tip manager at the moment. Neither of them, I don't think, are going to give anything away.
And who do you think is kind of the best forward in the country at the moment? Because this weekend we could see Seamus Callan and Aaron Galland. Then of course we saw TJ Reid at Croke Park in the Club All-Ireland final for Ballyhale again. Just such a crucial player. And there's probably a couple more, Patrick Horgan that you can name, Joe Canning of course also. Who, for you, do you sort of have a favourite sort of forward in the country at the moment, or who do you think's up there?
Well, my own personal favourite is Tony Kelly, but I don't think you could really say he's the best forward in the country at the moment. I think TJ Reid would have to get it. I mean, I seen a guy on Twitter there yesterday say Conor McGregor is the greatest Irish sportsman. I mean that's a laugh. I mean, Conor McGregor wouldn't lace the likes of a TJ Reid's boots. I could name 5 men that were playing in the club final last weekend that are better men than Conor McGregor. You look at the likes of Declan Dawson, these fellas. The most consistent, Callan has been very good, Horgan has been very good, but consistency in big games, Reid definitely by a mile.
Yeah, and Laois are playing against Wexford this weekend. You mentioned that Wexford are going to get going again. What do you see for Laois overall this year? Because it was brilliant to win the Joe McDonagh last year. Sure, I met you in O'Moore Park after Dublin were beaten by Eddie Brennan's men also. Do you think they can kick on again this year? Because it's going to be a tough task. Everyone will see them coming.
Yeah, it's going to be a very tough task from this year. That first game is a game they have to target against, home game against Wexford. Laois, I don't think they'll be playing. Diarra O'Keefe won't be playing. Wexford, they won the Walsh Cup, but that's one they have to target. They're going to find it very tough in Leinster this year. They'll be the odds-on favourite to be relegated out of it, back down to the Joe McDonagh, but they have to win their home games, and I think if they could stay up in the league, they'll be going to that Leinster Championship with great confidence. And Eddie Brennan is a good manager. We've seen him doing great things so far. If they can get the likes of Ross Kane, these fellas firing, they're as good as the forwards in the country.
Do you think, like Davy Fitz in year 4, do you think he can bring the team on again? Like, I know you said they probably missed their chance for an All-Ireland, and maybe they have, but do you think that the team can keep improving? Can Conor McDonald start getting even more scores? He was 4th top scorer last year, I think. Can Lee Chin start to kick on even more? What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that they could have missed the boat. Yeah. That's my opinion on that one. I think, you tip on the ropes, we're a team that people said we're a bit, they're the one team, if you have them by their throat, you'll finish them off, but they couldn't do it. And I think that's the scar on them.
Yeah. What about Kilkenny last year? Because everyone talked about such a great achievement for Cody to get this team to an All-Ireland. If we look at the club situation, their 3 clubs have just won the All-Irelands at all the different levels. 4 of the 6 Ballyhale forwards might start next year for Kilkenny. Do you think that the experience of 2019 getting to that All-Ireland final might fast forward their development, and could they be a strong contender again?
A contender, but I don't think they've nothing extra from what they would have had last year.
Yeah. What about Galway then?
Galway. The whole manager situation, I don't think has done them a lot of favours, and the likes of Joe, you need to get Joe Canning hurling during the league. He missed a pile of the league last year, and only came back for their last game against Dublin. I think that really cost him, because he's their leader. I think if Joe and Cathal Mannion was very good last year as well, so if they could get the likes of him and Joe Canning at their best, they have the firepower. But I don't think Galway are going to win Ireland. I think it's probably Limerick and Tip at the minute, unless Clare could put something out of the fire.
Do you think Clare have found the spine of their defence? I think David McInerney is very good as a full back, and I'd like to see him mind the square a bit more rather than maybe foraging upfield. Conor Cleary, I think, looked good at centre back at times, but I don't know, is he the sort of dominant centre back that Clare need John Conlon fully fit the whole time, and Tony Kelly needs to find a way to get into big games when it's not quite going for him. Do you really think Clare are that close to being able to push?
I wouldn't be as confident now as I was this time last year. Tony Kelly, he's I see him there at club games. He's absolutely unbelievable. I think he's the best club player in Ireland.
Yeah.
There was games there the last 2 years. He was getting 8-9 points from play at club level. There's no hurler in the country scoring that. Not TJ Reid, not Joe Canning. But I suppose up against county men, maybe he's up against better men. And last year, I'd say, Tony will have to say it was a very poor year for him. But if Tony Kelly can click, he's as good as anyone. And 2 years ago, John Conlon was magnificent. I'd be hopeful, but not desperately confident with Clare.
Yeah. Do you think they'll get a good bounce out of Brian Lowe? And I presume the people at Clare are excited to see how one of their icons is getting involved. But then again, it's not like he's had too much managerial experience at the very top level. He was with Cratloe and UL. But other than that, the experience might be thin on the ground for him.
Yeah, well, look, he's actually one of my, he is my favourite hurler of all time.
Yeah.
That's when I was very small, watching him play. He was tearing out that red helmet. Inspirational man, and if you could rub that off on some of the players, you would know. But I think if they can get Tony Kelly, I think if Tony Kelly is hurler of the year contender, Clare could possibly even get to the All-Ireland final. But he means that much to this Clare team.
And I was just thinking about Cork now. Daniel Carney's after opting out of the panel this season. Well, I'm not 100% sure if he opted out or if he was sort of let go from the panel. But apparently in the last time that Kieran Kingston was over the team, he wasn't used in 7 of the 8 games. So maybe he's not really Kingston's type of player or what he's looking for. The plus side is Colm Spillane is going to be worked back into the team this year. I think he was desperately missed last year. Now, you were at the Munster League and you probably saw Bill Cooper operating at centre back. So I thought that was an interesting development. So what do you see for Cork in light of those things?
Yeah, Carney, I definitely have him involved. You could play in midfield. The last couple of years he's been kind of wing forward. He's a workhorse. He can get his 2 and 3 points as well. So I think that's a huge loss for him. Egan Walsh has been reasonable enough in their Munster League games. They need to get him probably hurling more, but Cork, I don't think they're anything different than what we've seen in the last 2 or 3 years. They couldn't win All Ireland that era, and Patrick Horgan is probably another year older, and we'll say Patrick Horgan and Alan Cadigan last year against Kilkenny, their forwards, just were way off.
Do you think it's a case of like they don't have the right combination of steel up there? Like Seamus Harnedy, we know he can win ball. Aidan Walsh was used full forward a bit last year when he was in and out of the team. He was midfield, I suppose, in the Munster League. But is that the problem, that there's probably not the same steel there as there are in other counties? And I know definitely it's the sort of thing that Cork people don't like hearing, that it's almost like an insult to them.
Yeah, I think there are probably too many similar forwards. Lehan, Harnedy, they're great flashy players, but I think they need a big, going back to your own county, like a John Carroll or a big, powerful men like that. They don't really have him. They just have the Fergal McCormick before. Wasn't a very flashy player, but he hit belts the shoulders. Who realistically in that Cork team would you say can knock lads around? I don't think. They have no Bonner Maher. I'll put it like that.
Yeah, that's fair. And also their backs. I was looking at the stats from last season, and if you take out the Westmeath game when they put up, was it something like 140, they average conceding 31 points a game. Sure, you're not going to win in All Ireland when you're doing that.
Yeah, they're chopping and changing the whole time. They can't seem to have, they have different backs. Every time you look at a Cork team, there's different backs, and they have Catalan back there, they have Joyce, Spillane, but they're going through them the whole time. Like, you think back to when Cork had that good team, they always had the Sean Ogues, these guys, they were there every single year, the Gardners, the Currans. Now, you struggle even to name 2 or 3 of the Cork backs because you wouldn't have a clue. And that's why I think, that's a huge loss to them, that they have these consistent backs.
Yeah. What about Waterford this year? It's Liam Cahill's first season in. He's obviously won an under-20 All-Ireland with Tipperary and under-21 All-Ireland the year before the grade was changed, and then also a minor back in 2016. So he's a lot of success with him. But do you think Waterford can sort of bounce back after a couple of very poor seasons?
I do actually, they've got rid of Maurice Shanahan this year. I've actually knocked on the door now, canvases.
Keep it going. Tell them you're doing a live video.
Yeah, they're Healy Rays.
Are they singing that song that Michael Healy-Rae has out?
There's a man here from Tipperary.
Jesus Christ. How things going?
Well,
We're doing a live hurling preview, lads.
Can they come back this year? They're in all Ireland.
Jesus Christ, you know.
will the Healy race come back this time, you know?
Will you sing the Healy Race song?
Let's see. Either way, we're doing the rounds.
Right, thanks a bit.
Whichever way you want to go.
Alright, thanks. So,
These things happen, Buff.
yeah, just back to you there. What was it? I forget what we were talking about now.
We were talking about Waterford.
Oh, Waterford, yeah. I think it was a foolish move getting rid of Maurice Shanahan.
Really? What about Noel Connors?
Maurice Shanahan. He's one of those kind of, he really G's up the whole team. And another player they've got rid of as well is Noel Connors. Maybe his pace was struggling a small bit, but I'd have Noel Connors there. I mean, I'd have him there as a sub, if nothing else, because he's of his experience and he's kind of a leader. So, and they've Tommy Devine is gone. I think Tommy Devine was an incredible hurler. I think, Jesus, the power of the man. He was a kind of a newer version of the Bonner Maher. Bull of a man. Stallion of a man.
I think he was kind of, I think because of the work he was doing possibly in medicine or a doctor or something like that, that he kind of felt that he couldn't do that anymore. But a question I'd have to ask you about Waterford is, do you think they'll move very much away from, Derek McGrath's style of play, and obviously they had Pádraig Fanning last year, but do you think with Liam Cahill they might be a bit more of a direct team?
Yeah, well, again, they're probably relying on Austin Gleeson. Where do you pick him? He's up in the half-forward line, he's back in the half-backs. I'd probably maybe leave him around midfield. Look, Cahill had a very good record with Tipperary. He's going in there as an outsider, which could be a good thing. And Waterford will probably be happy if they could stay up in the league. And the big thing for them is to try to get out of Munster. And if they get out of Munster this year, I think it'll be an incredible year for them, a magnificent year for them.
Do you think Desi Hutchinson can make the impact? We saw how good he was with Ballygunner, and of course he's a former Premier League footballer, so he's obviously very athletic.
He possibly could. I haven't seen him at county level, so it's hard to comment. But they're short with the last couple of years. Kind of Seamus Callan, a fellow that can get 5 points, and every county needs a top forward. Cork, they have Horgan, Kilkenny, have Reid. Who in that Waterford team is going to get you 4 points and play a game?
Yeah.
I don't think I could name anyone.
And then I suppose the final county that's operating at Liam McCarthy level next year, Dublin, we haven't spoken about them. Do you think, obviously that defeat to Laois was going to cut them to the core. Do you see Dublin getting to a situation where they could qualify out of Leinster again next year? I think Matty Kenny's had a much longer pre-season this year than he had last year because he was appointed late.
Yeah, look, they'll be kicking themselves over the defeat to Laois last year. And remember, they knocked Galway out. Galway were all contenders last year, and we all saw the celebrations that evening when they beat Galway, and deservedly so. And I think they're probably one of the best, wing backs in the country. This Chris Crummy, he's an incredible hurler. Up front, they're relying on maybe the old guard, Conor Keane. I don't know if he's still going to be playing, but again, maybe like Waterford, have they that marquee forward that's going to get him the 4 and 5 points? They could struggle to get out of Leinster, because I think Kilkenny get out. You'll be thinking Wexford and Galway. So I think Dublin could struggle.
Is there any other team that you'll be paying particular attention to this year? A team maybe that's not even in the top level, Carlow, maybe Kerry, someone like that you're going to be interested in following and try and get to their games this year?
Definitely, and the Division 2 I'm more interested in this year, I think, than Division 1.
Yeah.
Because you've Offaly, you've Antrim, you've Kerry. They're the 3 main teams. For instance, Kerry now, they're lucky. They have 2 home games, and their 2 home games are against Antrim and Offaly. And Antrim and Offaly be big names in the hurling world. So you're hoping that there'll be big crowds in Tralee for those 2 games, because the Kerry Hurling Championship, there'll be huge crowds at it. I go to championship games in Limerick and other counties and Cork, and the crowd in the Kerry Hurling Championship is as good as anyone, but when it comes to supporting Kerry, there might only be 100 people some of the games. But if they could get the support, because they have the two big teams now at home, and two teams will get to the final, so they have to at least win one of those two big home games.
And do you see Offaly making big strides this year with Michael Fennelly in for the first time?
Oh, I do, because he'll bring that whole freshness in the big name, and Offaly are such a fierce hurling county, the likes of Oisin Kenny, he's a very, very good forward, is Dooley going to be playing this year? He probably will. Offaly probably be favoured to get to the final, and I suppose it's a toss of a coin between Kerry and Antrim, and realistically, you'd be thinking Offaly and Antrim should go up, because they're big hurling counties. Look at the standard of the clubs up there.
Yeah, true. And then I suppose can I ask you one non hurling question? Seeing as you're down there getting canvassed by the Healy Rays, can I ask you what were people reacting when David Clifford was announced as the Kerry football captain, and what are your own thoughts on it?
I'd be very, very for it. I see him there in the few games in the county championship last year. He's unbelievable. He's strong. I don't think I've ever seen the man play a bad game. And he's a leader really already. So people are saying he's only 20, but no, you have to give it to him. I think if he gets it, it'd be kind of a slap in the face to him.
What about the curse of the number 13 jersey? The number 13 hasn't listened. I think it's a role that will suit him, and he could be captain long term, because he's Kerry. I think they're going to keep winning the Kerry football championship, because they're so strong now, and he could be Kerry captain for the next 4 or 5 years, and I don't think no one can complain for that, because to me he's the best player in Ireland. And then just one final question about Kerry. Do you think that they can topple Dublin this year? It's going to be a tall task.
I don't know. Again, like Wexford, they had their chance last year against Dublin, against 14 men. The Kieran Kilkenny's weren't playing. The Conor Callahan's didn't turn up the first day. That was their chance. But they'll have to find a few backs. I think that's the big thing. They have the Real Madrid forwards, we'll call them.
Yeah.
But you need a powerful defender, and if they need a Seamus Moynihan of old, guys like that.
Okay, well, brilliant stuff, Buff. Thanks very much for joining us on Our Game, and no doubt I'll chat to you soon.
All right, we'll see you.